At our infrastructure field, I think one of the things we really like to see was that there's some optimization going on to better utilize the expensive resources that you have, and that a bunch of that optimization is around really just driving good software and good software practices and recognizing limitations on resources. Fred, you and I at every single AI infrastructure field that we've been at together have discussed how you can't just keep buying more hardware. You need to more effectively utilize what you have.
Right, and we see it, right? Like that AI infrastructure, we see that even the hardware manufacturers are actually more talking about using the hardware in an efficient and an optimized way. And I think that's very important because that's where the market is going. I mean, buying more hardware seems to be the easiest way to do things. Although there's a little bit of an incentive for customers today, which is called the supply chain problem, which makes everything so much more expensive. So there's a tendency now for organizations on both sides to kind of look at optimization and efficiencies. And I think that's really what we have been hearing the last 2 days.
Do you think it's more like a swing back and forth? I mean, at one point, the hardware is cheap enough, we can buy enough of it. We don't have to optimize on the software. We don't have to bring any additional stack to play. We can just go ahead and run it, and it'll solve our problem. And when the hardware becomes expensive or less available, or you can't push it any farther, then it moves to software. And I think this is a part of the cycle of IT life, as it were.
Yeah, I think it's definitely cyclic. But I think nowadays, with AI moving so fast, I think it's very difficult for the hardware people to innovate at a certain rate to keep up. And I think that's where software is becoming a little bit more dominant than in the past, where software can help kind of get most out of your existing hardware as opposed to replacing your existing hardware with new hardware. But I agree, it's cyclic, right? There's no doubt about it that it's cyclic.
And usually what we see is that there's some financial pressure that shifts this, that shifts the need for innovation in hardware, which is a much slower cycle. Spinning a new chip, we've known that the NVIDIA chips were coming for a long time, compared to hearing that a software innovation was launched last month. The paces are different, but also the possible return. And often spinning up a new version of hardware, Jensen's telling us that the new chips will do inference about, was it 4 or 8 times as fast as the previous generation for the same wattage of power consumed? That's big steps. It's hard to make that much optimization in software sometimes.
Right, but I think this is nothing new, right? I mean, so once upon a time, NVIDIA had consumer cards, and then they realized that they needed to do some enterprise, with the K10 cards and K20. So I think the evolution that every 2 years, there's kind of a doubling, maybe with the same form factor, but with a higher power envelope. So I think that's kind of part of the problem, where we cannot keep on doing that. I mean, now the solution is liquid cooling. I mean, we saw in the last couple of days that even the SSDs get liquid cooled. So, I mean, but at some point, that has to change. And to kind of make my point here is NVIDIA always announced a card that was better than the previous version. If you look on the RTX cards, the RTX 6000, which is the previous generation, they released a new card, which actually is less powerful. It's the 4500. So it's less powerful, less capable.
Edge?
In Edge, yeah. But I think it's more because they're realizing that people don't need all that full power in a single desktop, where now a lot more people who are doing agentic and MCP applications don't need all the heavy duty, and they're kind of looking at smaller GPUs. So I think that's also a trend, right? Where people are realizing that bigger, faster, more power is not something that they can keep on doing.